All right, I'm joined here by Governor Jeff Colyer, former Lieutenant Governor under Sam Brownback, assumed the governorship in 2018 and is seeking a term of governor. So why do you want the job again?
You know, this is a great opportunity. Kansas is a great state, but you know what? We've been falling behind for the last, several decades. You know, in our parents' lifetime, Kansas has grown exactly half as fast as the rest of the United States. In the last few years, we've lost 1% of our population. We need to change things. And what we need to do is make sure that we have more higher paying manufacturing jobs, more tech jobs in our state. We need to make it affordable for Kansans to live here. We're the highest tax state in the region around all of the 4 states around us. And if you go all the states around those states, we're the highest tax state except Illinois. We can't continue down that road. We need a governor who's going to be a partner with President Trump as he tries to reshore manufacturing here in the United States. I'm the guy who has a track record of actually doing it. And being able to partner with the president to bring those high-paying jobs here to Kansas, that's what this is about.
So what will be the biggest difference should you assume the governor's mansion?
So the biggest difference is we've kind of seen this with President Trump. When you've done the job before and then been off for a little while and you stew about it, you think about it for a while, and then you come back, you don't have to figure out where the bathroom is. You can hit the ground running, okay? And that's what it will do. And, many people didn't realize this, but when I became governor, what I did in my year as governor is probably more than many governors did in 2 terms, 8 years. For starters, I gave us a balanced budget that had an $800 million surplus. We actually improved the credit outlook for the state of Kansas. There were more Kansans working than ever before in the history of the state, 1,448,000. I know that number. That's because we had good conservative policies. But then we went on further. One of the biggest challenges in Kansas has been funding for education. Over 50 years, every governor has been in court over that. 12 governors before me. I settled that lawsuit. I put more money into K-12 education, and I did it by holding the line on taxes and not raising taxes. What we did is we actually privatized Medicaid, which now throws off probably about $1 billion a year, and we paid for that by making Medicaid better. It serves its patients better, we get better outcomes, and it's more affordable. But by doing things like that with the private sector, making government smaller, more responsive to people, then we can really get things done.
I do know that Kansas was in a surplus when you left. Do you consider yourself one of the more fiscally responsible governors in Kansas history?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I came in as lieutenant governor, we had a $500 million deficit at that point, and we only had $800 in the checking account of the state of Kansas. When we left, we had $800 million in that checking account. That's what it's about, is let's be fiscally responsible. And as we do this, we can make government more responsive to people. I actually did the first phone app that you could interact with government on. And that's a way of saving money, but actually making it more responsive, to you. In reality, most people don't realize this, but as lieutenant governor and governor, we eliminated 3 cabinet agencies, 6,000 positions, and you didn't hear boo about it because we were making it more efficient and trying to get results for Kansans.
When you last ran for governor, you lost to Chris Kobach in the primary. What's going to make you successful not only in the primary, but in the general election this go round?
Sure. That was actually the closest primary election in the United States in decades for a governor's race. There was just a few hundred votes between us. What's going to make it different this time is we have the experience now. People know us better. They know us as a competent, trusted, proven conservative governor that'll talk to everybody and work with everyone. But also, though, the environment is different. Our time is now as Kansans, We have a partner in Washington, D.C. with President Trump. And I've met with him several times. I've talked to him. Whenever you see him, he says, I love Kansas. And, we need to get those high-paying jobs here. And I'm a very active governor. I'm a very active guy. I'm going to be out there pounding the pavement, helping our small businesses grow, standing up for our farmers, making sure that it's more affordable to be in Kansas so that we can compete in the modern world.
What can we expect from Jeff Colyer, not only on day one, but in his first 100 days in office?
Yes. In my original 100 days in office, we did 100 things, okay, including solving the school finance problem that had plagued the state for 50 years. We will work very closely with the legislature. How do we make government smaller, more efficient? We're going to focus on bringing jobs here so that we're a growth engine, that we're growing rather than losing people. That's not who we are. But you're going to see us hitting on all cylinders from day one. We'll bring in lots of people. We'll work with everyone across the state. It's a great state. We have all of the pieces here. We can do fabulous manufacturing down in Wichita. We have an amazing services sector here in Kansas City. We have fantastic agriculture and other things across the state. So we actually have all the pieces, and we're right smack dab in the center of the United States. That's our advantage. Let's use it.
Speaking of jobs, this Panasonic plant coming to Kansas is a huge deal. Do you see more projects like that coming to Kansas under your leadership? I think you kind of alluded to it.
I think what you'll see is you'll see us working with people, to bring higher value jobs. I want high paying jobs, not low paying jobs that come here. But also, the way that you get people to come to Kansas is you make it the lower tax place. You make it a place where it's perfect to raise your family and make sure that your kids have schools that they can go to. Getting that environment right is just so important for us.
What grade would you give yourself when you were governor? Tell me your biggest accomplishments, you think, and your biggest challenge, if you will.
Sure. My grade, I actually think I got an A- in it. And that's because, I wanted to achieve some more things with us. Really get us on a trajectory, where we can be a trajectory to grow as a state. And that's where we've missed out over the last 8 years. So, for me, the biggest challenge was just getting everybody lined up and going. And you know what? They did. It was really kind of fun, to see that Kansans were really willing to pitch in. And, everyone wants to see their kids growing in this state. That's why I'm running. I want to see my daughters, working here at their dream jobs here and creating those dream jobs here.
You've got the second largest city in the state of Kansas in our viewing area. Wyandotte County, Johnson County, Miami County, all in our viewing area.
Yeah.
What makes this part of the state kind of unique for you, and how do you kind of address those needs to our viewing area while still addressing the needs of all Kansans?
Yeah. So I'm a fifth generation Kansan. I grew up in Hayes, 5 generations in Hayes. And like many of my friends and that I grew up with, we came to Kansas City because that's where the jobs were and where we could do things. So I've had a foot in both worlds here. The economic engine of our state is Johnson County and Wyandotte County. Unfortunately, Wyandotte County has missed out on a lot of development there. We've got some great things going on out by the Legends, but making sure that it is even, in the inner city of Kansas, making sure that our suburbs can grow and expand. One of the things that's difficult is taxes. We're seeing property taxes explode. We need to stop that. We need to make sure that, we're focusing on making it affordable to be in Kansas City.
Governor, is there anything else you want to add or I failed to mention that you'd like our viewers to know?
No, I'm very honored to be here, and it's a very humbling experience to be with my fellow Kansans. But together we can do this. But we have to do dramatic things. We are not going to sit around on this. If you want to really change the trajectory of the state, we have the next 8 years to do it. And if we don't get it right then, we're just done. And I think we can. I just talk to people all over the state, and they're ready for a change. They're ready to work with President Trump, and they're ready to look forward, to the future.
All right, Governor Jeff Colyer seeking re-election, announcing his candidacy today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Great to see you.
Appreciate you.
You bet.